Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 6 o'clock. Let's begin our meeting. Happy to see all who are here. And let me remind those who may not be aware that if you need a copy or would like a copy of the agenda, they're in a little pocket right here on the front wall. And that way you can perhaps even better keep up with what we're doing. The invocation tonight will be given by Pastor Travis Ferris of the First Baptist Church on the bypass. The former pastor and I used to enjoy being in each other's company. Whoever got up first said, I'm pastor of the First Baptist Church. Yeah. Whoever got up second says, I'm pastor of the other First Baptist Church.
I'm the pastor of the other.
Welcome tonight, Pastor.
All right. Kind of a privilege to pray tonight. Let's pray. Father God, as we approach you tonight in prayer, may we be mindful that it is you who is in heaven and we who are on earth. And God, tonight as we approach you in prayer, may we also know and be mindful of the fact that you are the one who has ordained government, and that it is you who sets kings upon the thrones, and you who is able to remove them. And in your power, Lord, tonight as we meet and understand that all things we live and move and have our being because of you. God, tonight we thank you for the state of Kentucky and this city that we live in called Richmond, and we're thankful, Father, for those that you have saw fit to rule over us. And may we live in submission to that authority. And God, I pray tonight for our mayor, for our commissioners, for the staff here. And God, we pray that our focus would be upon wisdom and decisions. And that, Lord, that wisdom would come from heaven. Thank you, God, that you have given us the privilege to be stewards of your world. And God, may we do that well this evening. Today, Lord, may we count it a blessing that you have given us another day of life. And may we be grateful that we have the privilege to pray in the mighty name of King Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Our pledge to the flag will be led tonight by Philip Seifert, who is the director of the Battle of Richmond Visitor Center, and happy to have him present tonight for our meeting.
Please rise. Men, remove your covers. Join me in pledging allegiance to the flag of our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Cole.
Here.
Commissioner Goebel.
Here.
Commissioner Newby.
Here.
Commissioner Brewer.
Here.
Mayor Blythe.
Here, thank you. I have a couple of presentations tonight. The first is from Redeeming Hope, Ricky Lynn and Lisa Foster. Are they present? Are they not present? All right, we will move right along. The Kentucky Veterans Hall of Fame. Mr. McAfee is back with us again. Emerson McAfee.
Emerson McAfee. I'm the president of VBA Chapter 1066, soon to be no more down the road a couple years. If you haven't heard, VBA is, they're going out. They don't have enough people left, I guess. I'm also here talking about the Kentucky Veterans Hall of Fame. We have monuments scheduled to go in Richmond, one in Berea. I'm hoping before Christmas. The park is about finished. All we need over there now for the monument to go in is to get the monument finished. The one they're working on now is for Lexington. That's number 4. We're number 5. Berea will be number 6. I don't know how long it takes to lay that thing down and put their, whatever they call that thing, they put over it and turn the machine loose, and it does all the work. It shouldn't take long to do that. But we're just waiting on that. And we're waiting on the same thing in Berea and Richmond, and that's a foundation for both of them. And I think DeVere Contracting is involved in both of them. Yours is part of your contract. The one in Berea is a write-off, tax exemption for us to get it in, as well as the concrete from CMC. The owner has agreed to pour the concrete from some big load he's got left over. So we're going to get that foundation in there for free, and that'll finish the costs. To finish off the cost of the Berea monument, we lacked $5,000. I decided I was going to write a check for $5,000 and get it ordered. I was tired of fooling around trying to get people to donate. Since then, I've collected a couple thousand, and I'm going to put a couple thousand that way. So I'm only short about $1,000, 900 and something. So it's all worked out good. The guy was there this morning at our meeting over in Lexington where they announced the new class of 29 people being inducted this year into the Hall of Fame. Sad to say that I was very disappointed I didn't get one of those. I think there's a little bit of politics going on in the October meeting when we have it after all this is over with. I'm going to go to their head meeting, not just the normal meeting, and bring this fact out. Anyway, I'm hoping we'll get some more in the future. We do have 5 people from Madison County that are in the Hall of Fame. Myself from Berea, 2 people in Richmond, and there are 2 deceased people that were in Berea. So we have 3 living right now. Is there any questions about the monuments as far as we've gone? It's just going to take time for them to get to ours, and in the meantime, we've got time to work on this and get our foundations poured for them, because they can't put it in until they got the foundation. The man will come down here on a trip, and he'll probably look at both locations at the same time and see what he needs to put those in. You've got concrete poured down here, and he says he's got platforms that he puts out, that he puts the truck on, that shouldn't cause any damage, and he's not worried about it, he says, so he's done it before. We'll get that done just as quick as they get them done. Now, the second little subject, you've got some things there on your desk. I found out a couple weeks ago that the CEO of the Hall of Fame wants to get a museum in the state. There are a lot of great places for this museum. I found out that one guy suggested the Armor Museum over at Fort Knox. They're not using all that museum since they took a lot of that stuff away. They said that would be a good place. Owensboro is very patriotic. They just got the 3rd monument over there. And the man that wrote this piece of paper that I gave you up there, that's him. And he's a retired Army major. He's got good eyes. He got good ideas. And I checked a few of them here I wanted to discuss with you. I think the CEO wants it along I-75 somewhere. Owensboro's too far to the west for many people to visit. I don't know about Fort Knox, whether that would be a good location, but he was looking immediately at the big city, Lexington. And I would just as soon see Richmond get it over Lexington. Not because I live here, I guess, but it probably is. It would take some doing and take some coordination and a little bit of research on some people's part. I know there's 5 of you up here and me out here. I don't know who else would be involved. But first of all, you've got to either build or find a building. We've also discussed possibilities out at the depot out there. They're going to be shutting down out there eventually, and we don't know what's going to end up out there. They may continue the Army's work there, and they may, like they've done numerous times. I've already been killed once over at Avon when they shut it down. I had to move to Alabama. This could happen out here very easily too. Even though Congress fights it, it sometimes goes down because they just don't want to keep it. So there's a lot of places we could put it. Now in Richmond, I know there's a lot of empty buildings in Richmond. I don't know how this would work, but the 3 pictures you have there are pictures of the Kentucky High School Basketball Museum over in Elizabethtown. The first picture shows them painting the building, getting it fixed, and the other 2 shows pictures of the building. And the last one shows their sign. Some doctor and his wife evidently got this thing started with a little bit of stuff out of their pocket. I don't know how it worked. I don't know how we would work it here, whether we'd buy, build, lease, rent, how you would get it. But it's going to have some interest. If we have no interest, then we won't have to worry about it. But I would like to see somebody take an interest in it, and I'd be happy to help with it. And I just want to run down just a couple of these items I've checked on that sheet. It tells you what this guy thinks that you would need. need to show how this thing has evolved from 2010 to the present. It was only thought of in 2010 and started in 2014. There are plaques with each class's names of people over in Frankfurt in the hall. Don't know whether they would want to take those down and move them over here to a museum or create a second set to put over here. Membership, mainly membership by counties. We could have a listing, a display in there showing how many members are currently from each county in the Hall of Fame. Exhibit showing the various Hall of Fame monuments currently in place in Kentucky. Well, we know where 4 of them are going in, and ours is the 5th, and Berea's the 6th. There's going to be 1 also in Florence, so we know of 5 that'll go in. They're saying the cost is getting ready to go up, and it's already so high that, you know, I don't know how some places can afford it. With this ARPA money, that was a lifesaver, I guess, to get some of this done. An exhibit showing the scholarship program. They have went from 4,000 to 5,000 this year, so they'll have 5 scholarships instead of 4. I have a McAfee, Alyssa McAfee, got one 2 years ago, going to Madison Southern. She's now going, starting her 3rd year at Eastern. She got one, and I've got a sister of hers that's 3 years younger that I'll be nominating her next year. And it does work. So we do have somebody here in the county that's gotten one of their scholarships. Let's see what's on the back here. Yeah, the square footage. This guy thinks that it would take 3,000 to 4,000 square foot building to man and fill everything, have enough space to put everything you want to put in it. And some of the rooms it shows there, what you would need in there to get by. And the last thing there that I marked important, co-locating it with some other thing, another museum or some other point of interest that would attract people, and they'd come and see 2 different things and not just one. The basketball museum over in Elizabethtown is not in that great a shape financially because I just don't think they're publicizing it enough and getting people to visit it. I've seen their price. They charge $6 to visit it, and they go down to 5 and 4, old people and children, et cetera. But that is the main thing, publicity. If you're going to do it, then you've got to publicize it. You do, and you get the people. In comes the money for the motels, money for the food, the restaurants, all the other things that they buy while they're here. And I think it could be a money-making thing for the city. And with that, I think I've covered about everything I wanted to cover. And if you have any questions, I'll get out of your way and you get down to your real business.
Are there any questions? Comments, Ethan?
I just would say thank you for being a champion of the process and the monuments, and thank you for I can tell that you are giving it your all, so thank you for your energy around that topic.
Thank you very much. You bringing that up, I was a volunteer on the honor flight coming up in 16 September, and our chaplain out here, he is 90 years old, coming up on 91 pretty soon, and he didn't want to go, and I convinced him he needed to go. He called me one night and said, if you'll go as my guardian, I'll go. I said, well, I'd be happy to go as your guardian. I signed up. We sent all the paperwork in, sent the $500 check in for me, and I got a call yesterday saying, we overlooked on your registration your age. You're too old. We can't accept you as a guardian. I said, I'm only 82. He's 90. So she said, no. That's prime. Yeah, we can't. I should take that to EEO, shouldn't I? Yeah, I was a representative for that one time. But General Adams, some of you may know General Adams, who used to be over in Frankfurt, head of the KDVA. He's the leader of this honor flight stuff now. And I saw him at the meeting today, and he says, hold on, don't do anything until I talk. He's going to talk to the doctor in charge of those flights. And he says that he'll look at my form that I sent in and see if he thinks that I'm capable to do it. Well, I don't think I act like an 82, so I feel sore in my hips and my legs, but 82, you're going to do that. I'll still crawl around and get there and get back, but I'm hoping he'll say, yeah, we're going to take you, and I can get back on that. And thanks again for your thanks.
Keep being persistent. As long as you're persistent, nothing gets put on the back burner.
Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to go to the porch and rock and sit in the swing, but I'd like to, but I can't convince myself to do it. So, with no questions, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And I hope that somebody really is interested in this museum thing. It'd take a good while to get something like that done, 2, 3, 4 years, maybe even, or more. But if you're interested at all, just give me a call or anything. Thanks again.
Thank you, sir. Have in our packet tonight the minutes from the regular meeting held July 25, the 6 p.m. meeting. We had a chance to look at those. May we have a motion, please, to bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
I move.
Second.
Commissioner Newby, Commissioner Cole, is there any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. Ordinance 23-25, ordinance of the City of Richmond, Kentucky, changing the zoning classification for property located at 291 Tates Creek Avenue within city limits. This is a second reading. We will vote tonight. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas Trifecta Blue LLC, Frazier Realty Company LLC, and Tudor Holdings LLC owners have filed with the Richmond Planning and Zoning Commission an application for a zoning map amendment for 291 Tates Creek Avenue for tracts 1 through 4 for a total of 100.81 acres in Richmond, Kentucky. And whereas the property is currently zoned single-family residential large lot, R1A, that is tract 3, 54.66 acres. Two-family duplexes, R2, tract 2, 15.15 acres, and multifamily apartments, R3, for tract 1, which is 26.65 acres, and tract 4, 4.33 acres, and they're requesting the zone change for tract 4 to be expanded from 4.33 acres to 6.32 acres, while simultaneously reducing the size of tract 1 from 26.65 acres to 24.66 acres. And whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission conducted a public hearing on the requested zone change on July 19th, in the course which it received evidence and testimony from persons in favor of and opposed to the requested zone change. And whereas at the conclusion of the public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend that the zone change be granted. And whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission at its meeting adopted written findings of facts as to the zone change, and the issue is now before the Board of Commissioners for final determination. And whereas the Board of Commissioners believe it to be in the public interest that it adopts the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission in accordance with the findings of facts adopted by that body. Now therefore be it ordained that the Board of Commissioners does hereby adopt the recommendation of the Richmond Planning and Zoning Commission as to the requested zone change for the property located in Richmond, Madison County, Kentucky. The Board of Commissioners does hereby adopt the findings of facts adopted by the Planning and Zoning as its findings of facts. The findings of the zoning of the said property shall be and hereby are changed from tract 1, 26.66 acres to, and also tract 4 to 6.32 acres. The Director of the Planning and Zoning shall make the appropriate changes to the official map of the City of Richmond, Kentucky. This ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its enactment following second reading and publication in accordance with the requirements of applicable Kentucky law.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's ordinance 23-25. May we have a motion, please? This is a second reading. May we have a motion to bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
So moved.
Commissioner
Second.
Cole and Commissioner Goble. Is there any discussion, anything, Mr. City Manager, at this time to be submitted, Mr. Attorney?
I have a question. Because I've heard a whole lot of discussion on this. Is there a representative here from that? That's just one question I want to ask you. Of course, I've been told. I just want to clarify, I guess, in front of everybody. Is this on the basis of, so we're producing affordable housing for the elderly?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Newby. For the record, Preston Worley, McBrayer Law Firm, on behalf of the applicant. This track, we needed to be just a little bit bigger so that Wallach Development could purchase the property from the current owner, who is an affordable housing developer out of Columbus. You'll be familiar with them on Killarney and Shamrock, the project that they're doing. And with this zone change, if approved, we'll be applying to Kentucky Housing, well, Wallach will be applying to Kentucky Housing Corporation for financing for affordable senior living. So it'll be affordable housing, which will be income and age restricted. So this is particularly for helping seniors with housing needs.
President, may I ask a question? Over the past many months, I have challenged the use of a term, and you just used it, not in an evil kind of way, but the term affordable housing. And with a certain project, for example, here in the city, I asked affordable to whom? What's your take on the term affordable housing?
Well,
Even
Mayor,
in this case, you just mentioned
Yes, sir.
seniors and so on, but
Well, thank you, Mayor, and I really appreciate the question. And in my other job as being a city council member in Lexington, you may have seen me on the news with this same argument. HUD has a definition of affordable housing that is at or below 80% of the area median income. And in various different communities, you'll find that that is a very low-income individual. But in some communities, like Richmond, that's someone that actually is probably still very well employed, but that is struggling. I also would say that take away the term, capital A, affordable housing defined by HUD, and just say housing affordability is an issue for most cities.
Yes.
That people of all income levels, particularly middle income, working class income, have a hard time, even if they don't meet that HUD definition. I can't tell you for certain what the income limit
yes.
will be for this particular project with Kentucky Housing, but I know that it will be somehow targeted towards people of a certain income limit that are struggling, and particularly elderly individuals. So I think there are legal definitions and there's real definitions, and I think a project like this is designed to help in every way that it can both of those situations.
Now, what's the next step from here? This will go where? If approved tonight, it goes back to planning and zoning for plans, or it's already?
Well, construction documents and things of that,
Okay.
a plat, yes, construct.
All right. Thank you, sir. Let me say this. Good to see you this evening for other reasons, which I think personally you'll be aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'll mention it later in our meeting.
Yeah.
Take
Thank
care,
you
sir.
very much.
Any further discussion? This is a second reading. Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. Ordinance 23-26, an ordinance of the City of Richmond, Kentucky, annexing property into the city. This is a first reading. Mr. Attorney, please.
Whereas Dogs LLC, the owner of the property herein described, requested that the property at 204 Concord Lane, being the same property that is more fully described below, be annexed into the city boundaries. And whereas the property in question is contiguous with the city's boundaries and is urban in character and is suitable for further development for urban purposes, and whereas the Richmond Planning and Zoning Commission on July 19th, 2023 conducted a public hearing so as to be able to make a recommendation to the board as to deny the annexation based upon the requested zoning of the property and requested zoning of the property should it be annexed. And whereas at the conclusion of the public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to deny the requested annexation due to the requested zoning, as it is a voluntary annexation, and to recommend that the property, if annexed, not be assigned the requested zoning by the applicant. And whereas the Board of Commissioners finds that it would be in the public interest that the property in question be annexed, but upon the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board, deny the voluntary annexation as the requested zoning is inappropriate. Now, therefore, it be ordained that Section 1 The property to which the ordinance applies consists of 59 plus or minus acres. The tracts are recorded in Deed Book 564, page 493. A more particular description of said lots appears in the exhibits attached to this ordinance and here incorporated as though set forth in full. The property is hereby not annexed into the city boundaries in accordance with the recommendations of Richmond Planning and Zoning Commission. The property shall be and hereby is denied annexation. This ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its enactment following second reading and publication in accordance with the provisions of applicable Kentucky law.
Thank you, sir. That's ordinance 23-26. First reading again. May we have a motion, please, to bring to the floor for discussion?
So moved.
Commissioner Brewer,
Second.
Commissioner Newby. Anything additional, first of all, from any of the commissioners? Any questions, comments? Corey, you represent the parties here.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I represent the Purchaser Dog LLC, who are purchasing the subject property from Daryl Curtis and Patrick Tate. The property is displayed on the screen in front of you, and as Mr. Frazier mentioned, the requested zone was denied in planning and zoning, which would ultimately be tantamount to the death toll to the annexation at this point, unless there's a motion made to amend the current ordinance, which I'm certainly asking to be done today. However, the complaints or the concerns, I should say, that were heard during the planning and zoning, they certainly don't fall on deaf ears. The current zones that we've assigned to the subject property are different than what was produced at the planning and zoning and hearing. If you look from left to right, you have R3, R2, R1. At planning and zoning, it was not that. Rather, it was R3 and R2. The concerns were that there is a subdivision to the bottom right-hand corner of the plat as depicted, which were concerned about having multifamily housing that would be contiguous to their track. We've heard their concerns, and we have now requested that R1 be assigned over R1, R2 be assigned over a more popularly denselated R3, and then R3 be assigned over R3. Each track is contiguous to the zone of the track before it, and I would be remiss if I didn't draw attention at the very top left of the plat, you'll see an easement. That easement is a 50-foot ingress and egress easement that was a part of this plat far before the petition to be annexed. That was a part of the deal when the subject property to the south, which is what we see today as Benson Drive along with the storage units, when it was annexed in, that was required by the city to allow for connectivity for the purpose of future development. I don't believe that this is a surprise to anybody. I believe, rather, I would expect that it would be something that the city declared to be necessary and certainly would have expected. The problems that would have occurred in the event that we have not been able to obtain an amendment today would be that this property is no longer annexed into the city. The city losing not only the tax value, the control, the water, the sewer, and all the fees that would occur from that. We certainly believe that this property is appropriate for annexation. Everything that Mr. Frazier read during his reading of the ordinance was correct in the event that this property is a part of Richmond. Concord Lane is the address, however, it's not on Concord. You certainly cannot get there from Concord unless you're in one of those big old trucks that the Tate boys drive back and forth. You can't get across that creek. It floods. As you see on the right-hand side, the shaded area, it depicts an area of the floodplain. Now, there is 59 acres that's a part of this track. However, I would be certainly remiss if I were to allege that the developer would be capable of developing such a size. Initially, we'll lose 30% to infrastructure. We're expecting to lose somewhere in the phase of 15 to 13 acres of floodplain, which would leave us with a total of 31 acres. 31 acres with zoning that's contiguous to the current zone of the surrounding property that also provides ingress and egress through both entrances. also following the comprehensive plan to establish the connectivity and the idea of growth. We are going to grow. And this area of the city and of the county hasn't experienced that growth as others have in the very recent past. This is kind of an area that's been, unique in the idea that the development that did occur was very brief, and we haven't seen anything since this. And being that when the development did occur, this was certainly considered due to the idea that the easement was required. I would certainly ask that the ordinance, there be a motion made for the ordinance to be amended, that this council assign a current zoning for R3, R2, and R1 as depicted, and then the city be allowed to annex the property in.
This easement, that goes into the PUD development, is that correct?
So that easement actually connects to Judah Bear Lane. So it allows for ingress and egress on two separate sides of the development, which your comprehensive plan not only suggests but requires.
And I think, and of course, I wasn't at the hearing, but, from what I read and I heard about it, the significant amount of complaints was due to traffic. It's gonna be the traffic area there,
If traffic being concerned, nothing's went down Irvin Road since it went to Irvin. People aren't gonna turn left here into oncoming traffic and go to Estill County. There's nothing to cause us to do that. And I think that's just a reality. I go to Irvin once a week, every Wednesday. I'm the criminal prosecutor there. And there's not that drive of people going from Madison County into Estill County. The traffic that would flow off of 52 would turn with the flow of traffic. And therefore, you have a limited issue. Ultimately, Richmond's going to grow.
How many apartments are planned to go in?
And to that extent, that would require to have a survey that would indicate how much acreage we're going to lose. It's
You're talking
indicated-
about with the water,
Yeah, well, not
I
only with the
mean, what you
water.
do, your housing to me, and excuse me for interrupting Corey, but
Oh, please don't.
I'm trying to put a face to the R1 here with how many, and like you said, apartments on R3, you don't know what's gonna be there, but it looks to me like with your floodplain here in R1, you don't have a lot of space for,
We have a street, and then we have a backyard for children to play. We have green space, which was one of the concerns that was mentioned during planning and zoning.
I mean,
And
we've
a-
done this twice before, of helping like Takes Creek and Goggins, we did, brought them back to the table and when that was annexed in, they came back, I think, and we sort of asked them to, not reduce the number of R3, but change how that was, implemented to us. And we had another one, Rob, I'm trying to think, we did this once before, twice that I know of. Do you remember?
The Bill Short property on Takes Creek, and then did we do the other one? I don't remember the other one.
What I'm leading up to is if we annex it in, the property in, we don't have to give it a zoning classification. Am I right?
Well,
They're asking for a zoning classification with annexation.
they're asking for this zoning classification. If you wish to annex it in, you could give it any designation you wish. I think what you're saying is currently that it's ag, and you could give it ag.
So you're saying we could override the recommendation?
The commission certainly has that power, as is being requested by Mr.
Gotcha.
That's
what
Isaac.
We are asking that you give it a zoning classification. Now, we're asking that you make it contiguous to what's there before. If it was good for them, I would
Look, I
imagine
don't
it would be
disagree
good for us.
that's where growth should go. I'm just,
Where else is it going?
out Irvin, Road and the bypass and all that is easy access, in my mind, to a development, even off Concord Road. I'm just trying to figure out a way how we can smooth this out so everybody on the, gets a chance to get this done.
Mayor, if it pleases the board, I think it would help if the city attorney kind of laid out the 3 or
Yes.
4 options you all have.
We have 4, right? 4 different options that I see.
Let's see what,
I believe 4 is correct. There's certainly, as it is written before you, which would be a denial. There is, as you stated, bringing it in as ag as a placeholder so someone could go back to planning and zoning. There is directly right now sending it back to planning and zoning to reconsider. And there is the option Mr. Isaacs is moving for, to zone it as wished here, as described. So really, as I see it, those are your options.
Tyler, you said to reconsider is one of the options, meaning what we now have in front of us has not already been considered by planning and zoning. Is that correct?
That's
So
correct.
asking them to consider this new proposal, is that what we're saying when we talk about?
Is this what you took to planning and zoning?
No, planning and zoning indicated that they had concerns with what is now shown as R1 because it abutted to another R1. Just like the comprehensive plan directs you, directs I, the contiguous zoning, and then buffering to larger densities from smaller densities. This is exactly what our comprehensive plan dictates. From small to large, each small touching small, medium to medium to large.
But we haven't, planning and zoning has not seen this new one.
No,
This
they
has
have
not
not.
been
No,
in front of
I certainly don't wish to reflect that. And if it goes to planning and zoning, which, we're happy to always have an opportunity to obtain our goal. However, it's gonna come back to you for approval regardless.
Well, and that's fine. I think planning and zoning needs a shot at looking at this, the changes that you made. Perhaps you could, with this, it would convince them that you're on the right track and that you're trying to work this out, and then come to us for final approval. And that's what we've always done. Either, I don't like putting us before planning and zoning when they haven't seen this. That's where I'm at with it.
In other words, this is your proposal, your client's proposal, not a proposal from planning and zoning for us.
Planning and zoning asked that you not annex this property into the city limits of Richmond. That's the absolute, that's the outcome.
But was the annexation not, they didn't want to do the annexation because of the zone classification
Yeah, I
that
think
you already have here, before you did this?
there was a motion to deny the request, which means to deny the annexation. I don't
Because
believe
of
that we
why?
can.
Do we know why they wanted to
Deny it.
deny it?
Well, they didn't approve of the annexation and the zoning.
The zoning part, or just zoning and annexation
Well,
together?
the both aren't before them at that time. It's sent to planning and zoning for an initial zone based on this board's intent to annex. And after you express your intention to annex, it is sent for an initial zone. The initial zone is declared, but in this case, it was denied. It wasn't amended, it wasn't changed, it was denied.
What it sounds to me, and if I'm off base, I'll apologize for it, but it sounds to me like they want us to approve the zoning and the annexation without this going back to planning and zoning, and I don't want to do that. I'm in favor of this annexation. I'm not going to deny that, but I do think the process should be where planning and zoning takes a look at the changes that you have made, let them view it, and then they may say, okay, that's fine, great. will approve it and send it to us. But it, like you said, even if they don't do that, it's gonna come to us anyway, and then we can work from there. But I just, I just feel like if you had these improvements done, they should see it before we do, before we vote on it. That's just me.
And that's certainly a motion that this commission is entitled to make.
And I don't think we should, I think we're in discussion of this right now. I don't think we should make a motion to approve anything until this goes back in front. And it's just me, until it goes back in front of planning and zoning. You all, I want to help this development. I want it to get off on the right foot. I want it to be correct. I don't want any misconception on it, and I don't want the planning and zoning board to think that we overrode this by looking at this and they hadn't seen it yet.
I had just a few comments too. In all respect, I think I definitely am for growth in the city of Richmond and want to be helpful to those that are willing to invest in our city and all that. Having said that, I'm a person that's very respectful of the process, and I am new to the commission, been on here since January, and always in the past, we've gotten the planning and zoning recommendation, or we've sent it back to them and asked for some clarification. But to my knowledge, we haven't just completely thrown out what our planning and zoning commission said. I'm probably the only person up here, is my guess, that drives Judah Bear Boulevard twice a day and Highway 52 once a week. And I can tell you that if you're coming out of Great House Drive and Duckhorn Drive, it's dangerous. I've been working since I've been on the commission in January to try to get a traffic light there. I know this commission is so tired of hearing about the traffic light at that intersection. So I always apologize, and we're trying so hard, and we're getting so close. But as you know, that's a state road, and so we can't snap our fingers and get a traffic light there. Now, we're a lot closer, a whole lot closer, and I know our city manager will be so glad, because I won't call him every
That's
week
all
and
right.
say,
That's
where
all
are we
right.
with the traffic light? But having said that, right this second, we don't have a traffic light there. And it is so difficult for people coming out of there trying to turn left. If you're coming out of, you know, the Honda side, to try to turn left is so hard. And Highway 52, when I drive Highway 52, it's extremely busy. A lot of people that live in Irvin work in Richmond. I did that myself for years, and there's not a lot of job opportunities, so you drive 52 to and from. So 52 is busy. I want to be helpful. If my personal recommendation would be to send it back to planning and zoning, be respectful of the process, give your folks an opportunity to present what you just told us. And I would ask that we attach a traffic study to that so that you can come back and tell us if it makes sense traffic-wise or not, so that you have an opportunity to share that again. I don't want it to be dead in the water, but I do want to be respectful, and I do want to gather all the data that we need to keep people safe traffic-wise.
Anyone else?
Well, my take on it is, you know, the last proposal that you mentioned a couple times from Mr., what was it, Short? Mr. Short, you know, I had issues with his development too. And then he came to the podium and he asked me, he said, what can I do to make you approve this? Talking to me personally. And I said, well, take out the apartments and duplexes. And me personally, speak for myself alone. You know, I've been an opponent of extra apartments and duplexes in the city limits for 9 years. And if I were to approve any additional apartments and duplexes, then I've been lying to everybody for 9 years.
Do you see a difference between the area in which any duplexes or apartments would be off of this plat compared to Tate's Creek, compared to Goggins? Is there any more density issues or any less
Well, I
density issues?
voted no on all of those.
I know, but what I'm asking is there a difference in your mind as to the location of this property compared to Goggins and the developments going there?
Difference in the location?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, it's on the other side of town.
Is there a difference in the population density? Or do you have the same concerns
Oh, well,
here as you would there?
My same concerns are with any additional, you know, apartments and duplexes coming. First of all, it's traffic. And like she said, we know we've got a traffic issue right there already. and it's just gonna be overloaded, but it, you know, that's my take on it.
I think that's a good question, though, when we talk about different parts of town. And I would just like to ask our city manager, in terms of our comprehensive plan, is this an area that fits with our comprehensive plan, or how does that, do you have any insight on that piece of it?
I don't have that in front of me, but it seems like it is part of our growth area. It's not, yeah. Thank you, Tyler. I'm thinking more along the Robert Martin bypass towards exit 90 is where our growth area is.
And I think in the findings of fact, the planning and zoning folks also were concerned about additional R3. And that's the biggest, the largest of the three portions there. And they were concerned, expressed, one of the commissioners expressed concern about approving more R3 property in town. So,
And we looked at those numbers as far as the R3 that's been developed over the past, I think it was 3 or 4 years. And I think we were only about 50% of what our need would be by 2025. So there is a demand for apartments. And I would remind this group that, you know, you did approve the development on Tates Creek Road that is single-family, duplex, and multifamily. You did approve the development on Highway 25 going to Berea, which is just as busy as Irvin Road, which again is single-family, duplex, and multifamily.
thank you.
That's what I was trying to say when I stumbled around it.
Well, and you've got the PUD, you know, on Barnes Mill as well. It's still in phase 1, but if it's ever completely developed, again, you're looking at commercial retail middle school, R1, 2, and 3.
I don't think I'm against it at all. I do think the process, you know, we've got to figure that out, because if this is a first reading and it's just like it is and people aren't going to go for it, you know, people don't feel comfortable, then we're not going to get it approved, which I think we want to do. And so I think that we probably need to take it back. And maybe there's some changes, a few little changes that could happen, but I think they haven't seen this one. So in order to have success in this project, I think that, because I don't think right now everybody's to the point where they're going to.
We will
You know.
gladly go back for an opportunity to submit this to whomever and whatever that this commission feels
Mr. Attorney, what would be
necessary.
the appropriate disposition then of the matter, since it's not a voting time?
Well, it would not be voting on this ordinance, but if there were a motion to send this back for reconsideration.
Thank you, sir.
That could be done now.
With his new proposal,
Yes.
that would be in the motion.
With the comments that have come from this meeting.
Is that,
Yeah, I mean, we have no intention of hiding the ball or changing anything.
Thank you.
If this is something that you all will consider, we'll gladly present it to planning.
And may we have a motion, please, that
I
we
make-
send this
I
matter back
move.
to the,
I move to take it back to
Goble.
planning and zoning.
I'll
send this
second.
back to Commissioner Cole.
Yeah.
Further discussion, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. Ordinance 23-27. An ordinance of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Richmond, Kentucky, providing for the issuance of its general obligation bonds in one or more series to provide funds necessary to acquire, construct, and equip the Richmond Regional Sports Complex, setting forth the terms and conditions upon which the bonds are to be issued and outstanding, ordering and providing for the levy of an annual tax to the extent necessary in an amount sufficient to pay the interest on and principal of the bonds, and providing for public sale of the bonds and the application of the proceeds thereof. This is a first reading. Mr. Attorney, please.
whereas the city deems it necessary to borrow money to finance the cost to acquire, construct, and equip the Richmond Regional Sports Complex to be owned and operated by the city for the benefit of its citizens, and for that purpose desires to issue its general obligation bonds in one or more series. The payment of the principal thereof and interest thereon is secured by the full faith, credit, and resources of the city, which is hereby pledged for such purpose. And whereas the project being financed by the bonds and other funds of the city constitutes a public project within the meaning of Section 66.011 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes, and the life or period of usefulness of the project as estimated by the Board of Commissioners extends beyond 30 years from the date hereof. Whereas to provide funds for the project, it is now appropriate for the Board of Commissioners to cause the sale and issuance of the bonds according to the authority of Sections 158 and 159 of the Constitution of Kentucky and applicable laws as amended, including Sections 66.011 through 66.171 inclusive of the Kentucky Revised Statutes. And whereas it is the desire and intent of the Board of Commissioners at this time to adopt this ordinance, which, among other things, authorizes and provides for the issuance of the bonds for the purposes aforesaid, and sets forth the restrictions and conditions on which the bonds are to be issued and outstanding. And now, therefore, be it ordained by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners as follows. The City of Richmond Board of Commissioners does hereby authorize and provide for the issuance of its general obligation bonds to finance the cost to acquire, construct, and equip the Richmond Regional Sports Complex. The bond ordinance is attached hereto. This bond ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon second reading and adoption by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. That's ordinance 23-27. This is a first reading. Again, may we have a motion, please, to bring to the floor for discussion?
I move.
Commissioner
Second.
Newby, Commissioner Goble, is there any discussion?
Mayor, I would say
Yes, sir.
tonight with this, I have R.J. Palmer, our financial analyst, and also Kristen Juckett, who is our legal representation for bonding. This is a first reading. Upon second reading and approval, it will give us the authority to issue bonds to pay for this project. The initial bond issuance will be for Phase 1 of the project in the amount of about $22,120,000, and that includes mass grading, retaining wall, roads, and also the water, sewer, and a turning lane, and a bridge. That's actually in the next order following this ordinance reading. So we will come back to the board probably next July after Phase 1 is completed for a second issuance. What you see on the screen here is the final rendering of the complex. It includes 11 full-size soccer fields, 5 of which will be artificial turf, pickleball courts, tennis courts, basketball courts, volleyball courts, Kit Carson Historical Interpretive Site, probably one of the biggest dog parks in the state, an all-inclusive playground, shelters for rent, and miles of multi-purpose walking paths. So I was looking at my notes in my phone today. We started this process. It was April of '21, and gave you all a presentation November of '21. We closed on the property, and Bell Engineering has delivered this within a year almost. So it's a wonderful piece to our community. The estimated economic impact, once fully operated, is around $7.1 million a year to our community. I always feel like those economic impact studies are a little inflated. So let's just say 4.5 or 5, that's still a large amount of money to our community every year. Since this park project has started, we've had 1 hotel secure property, and we've got another one looking. And in talking to other city managers and regional soccer complex operators, obviously our youth sports is our priority with youth football and youth soccer locally, but we'll be able to host regional tournaments and compete with the likes of Knoxville, Cincinnati, in Indianapolis even. Of course, we don't have those rooms yet like they do, but same kind of facility. So it's pretty exciting. If there's any questions in reference to the bonding or the finances of it, RJ and Christian would be happy to answer any questions.
Well, I do think it'd be something that this board is going to be proud of when we start breaking ground and seeing the future for our youth. It's really something. We all should be proud of it. So.
What? No ski slope?
We talked about that. We might be able to do that.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for the diligence these past many months. Any further discussion? This is the first reading. Thank you for being present this night, Chris and RJ. You've been with us during some of our finest hours, and we appreciate what you've done these past many years. Thank you. Any further? All right. Order 23-127A, an order of the City of Richmond awarding a Phase 1 construction bid for the Richmond Regional Sports Complex project. Mr. City Manager, please.
Whereas the City of Richmond has advertised and accepted bids for mass grading, roadway, bridge, and retaining wall construction for the preparation of a 280-acre site for a sports complex located at the corner of Tates Creek Road and Goggins Lane, Richmond, Kentucky, and whereas 3 bids were received and 1 proposal which met all specifications has been determined to be the best, now therefore be ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners, the Richmond Regional Sports Complex Project Contract 604-23-01 is awarded to the Allen Company Incorporated of Lexington, Kentucky for a total of $14,957,500. Funding for the project will be allocated from the Richmond Regional Sports Complex Project Fund. The submitted bid is hereby attached to the order. The order shall take effect upon reading and passage by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. That's order 23-127A. May we have a motion, please, to bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Brewer, Commissioner Newby, is there any discussion?
This initial bid does not include the water, the sewer, and the turn lane. We received grant money from the state, $1.1 million for the water project. So we need to bid that out separately with those guidelines for the grant funding. So we'll do that with the water and sewer, and then the turn lane will also be separate from that. So this is just the Phase 1, which is the grading, roads, retaining wall, and the bridge.
Any further discussion?
I will say that we had 10 different contractors pull drawings, and we asked them to sharpen their pencils, and I think they saw this as a competitive market. And this bid came in less than 3% of the engineering estimate. A year ago, it probably would have came in 20% over. So I feel like the contractors are getting a little more competitive, maybe a little more hungry, and that benefits us financially.
Any further? All right, this is an order. Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. Order 23-121, an order of the City of Richmond accepting a resignation by an employee in the police department.
Whereas Mark Creech, Master Police Officer in the Police Department, has submitted his resignation notice to the city on March 8th, now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners accepts the resignation of Mark Creech from the Police Department effective September 3rd, 2023. The Board of Commissioners would like to thank Mr. Creech for his service since 2018. This order shall become effective immediately upon adoption by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's order 23-121. May we have a motion, please, to bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
So moved.
Commissioner Brewer,
Second.
Commissioner Goble. Is there any discussion? Any discussion?
We wish him the best. He's been a good officer as far as
Yes,
I know.
indeed.
Think the world of him.
When I was out visiting the department the other day, I told him not to try it. Because we were going to ignore it. Go on to the next item. Yeah, one of those fellas you hate to lose. But appreciate his service. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you. Order 23-122, order of the City of Richmond hiring a police officer. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas the City of Richmond is in need of police officers to meet the needs of the citizens of Richmond, and whereas a recommendation for hiring has been made by Police Chief Richardson, now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners this individual is hired as a senior police officer for the City of Richmond, contingent on all satisfactory completion of all requisite background checks. Let's see here. Aisha? No. Oh, okay. Isaiah Christman, Senior Police Officer, effective August 21st, 2023, pay grade 4. Pay will be based off approved fiscal year 23-24 police scale. This order shall become effective immediately upon passage by the Richmond City Board of
Thank
Commissioners.
you, Madam Clerk. That's order 23-122. May we have a motion, please, to bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
I move.
Commissioner Newby,
Second.
Commissioner Gold. Is there any discussion? We sort of net zero then tonight, don't we? Can you tell us just off the top of the head, where are we staffing wise, please?
Yes, Mayor, we're, with, Mr. Crispin added, we'll be at 63.
63. Short, how many are we? We're pretty much there, aren't we?
We got 5, yeah.
Got 5 to go.
We have several, stacked up right now that we're taking a look at.
Thank you, Chief.
If you all recall, you all have approved in the past 2 budget cycles adding 3 police officers. So we went from 62 to 65 and now 68, and that's tremendous help to the department.
Great, great. Thank you. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you. Order 23-123, order of the City of Richmond accepting a resignation by an employee in the police department.
Whereas Wanda Hurt, Police Records Clerk in the department, has submitted her resignation notice to city on July 27th, now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners accepts the resignation by Wanda Hurt in the Police Department effective August 31st. The board would like to thank Ms. Hurt for her service since 2019. This order shall become effective immediately upon adoption by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's order 23-123. May we have a motion, please, bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
So move.
Commissioner Brewer,
Second.
Commissioner Newby, is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you. Order 23-124, an order of the City of Richmond, Kentucky Board of Commissioners authorizing the filing of a 2023 Kentucky Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for Liberty Place. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas it is necessary in the public interest that the city avail itself of financial assistance provided by Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 and the 1981 amendments permitting that the Kentucky Department for Local Government Division of Community Development. Whereas it is recognized that the federal and state contract for such financial assistance pursuant to Title I will impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the city and will require, among other things, approval of satisfactory application transmitted to the Kentucky Department for Local Government Office of Federal Grants, certification by the city relating to activities such as civil rights, citizen participation, relocation payments, acquisition of properties, national environmental policies and accounting practices, other obligations and responsibilities in connection with the undertaking and carrying out of the Community Development Block Grant Program. And whereas in those areas where acquisition and clearance are proposed, the objectives of the program cannot be achieved through more extensive rehabilitation and replacement strategies have been formulated. Now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond that the United States of America and the Commonwealth of Kentucky be and hereby are assured in full compliance by the Board of Commissioners with certification relating to all regulations and administration of the Civil Rights Act, citizen participation, relocation payments, acquisition processes, accounting procedures, the Hatch Act, minimum wage and minimum hours provision to the Fair Labor Standards Act, and requirements of the National Environmental Policy Act of 1968. That the mayor of the City of Richmond is authorized and directed to prepare such certification to assure that all full compliance with the certification as outlined. That the CDBG application on behalf of the City of Richmond for a grant up to $200,000 for the said one funds is hereby approved, pending the favorable response from the community as determined by the public hearing, and that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute and file such application with the Kentucky Department of Local Government to provide such additional information and furnish such documentation as may be required, and to act as authorized correspondents of the City of Richmond relating to the CDBG program. This order shall become effective immediately upon adoption by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's Order 23-124. May we have a motion, please, bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
So moved.
Commissioner Brewer?
Second.
Commissioner Goble, is there any discussion? This again relates to Liberty Place.
Yes.
There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you. Order 23-125, an order of the City of Richmond awarding a bid for the electric at the Gibson Bay Golf Course driving range. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas the City of Richmond has advertised and accepted bids for providing and installations of electric located at the Gibson Bay Golf Course driving range, and whereas 2 bids were received, and after reviews, 1 proposal which met all specifications has been determined to be the best. Now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that the Golf Range Electric Project is awarded to Babcon of Richmond, Kentucky, in the total amount of $49,950. This company will be able to provide the level of service and availability for the project. Funding for the project will be allocated out of the Golf Building Capital Project Fund. The submitted bid is hereby attached to the order. This order shall take effect upon reading and passage by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, ma'am. That's Order 23-125. A motion, please, bring to the floor for discussion and approval.
So moved.
Commissioner Brewer?
Second.
Commissioner Newby, is there any discussion? Anything, Mr. City Manager, you want to add?
I would just point out that this wasn't the lowest bid. The lowest bid was about $2,000 less than the one we're accepting, $2,202 to be exact. We're just more comfortable with Babcon's delivery time on this project. We're getting ready to finish up or start on HVAC. We'll move right into electric. We just had a better comfortable with their time of deliveries.
Is that the only local?
Babcon is local. Yep.
Not the only local, but yeah.
No, it's not. Electric Solutions was local. Arc Stream was out of Science Hill.
Yeah, it was just one other one.
All right, any further discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Goble?
No.
Commissioner Newby?
No.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes.
3-2. It passed.
Then the ayes have it. So ordered. Order 23-126, order of the City of Richmond awarding a bid for the tree cleanup project at Camp Catalpa Park. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas the City of Richmond has advertised and accepted bids for providing tree cleanup at Camp Catalpa due to a recent storm, and whereas the bids were received and after review, one proposal which met all specification has been determined to be the best. Now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that the tree cleanup project is awarded to M&R Contracting LLC of Stanton, Kentucky for the total amount of $20,750. This company will be able to provide the level of service and availability to complete the project. Funding for the project will be allocated from the non-departmental contingency account. The bid is attached to the order. This order shall take effect immediately upon passage by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's order 23-126. May we have a motion, please, bring to the floor for discussion and approval.
I move.
Commissioner Newby,
Second.
Commissioner Goebel. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I would say the first time, right after the Camp Catalpa was damaged, we had a contractor come look at it, and the bid was over $90,000. So we did go through the procurement process with an RFP. That company that bid 90,000 plus did sharpen its pencil a little to 82,000, but we also had a bid of 58,000, also had one of 20,750. The $20,750 kind of spooked Josh and I. We wanted to assure that it was the same scope of work and they could do the work, had the equipment and the people. Josh confirmed that, and I think he said he could finish in 2 weeks. Is that? 2 weeks or less, he could finish the project. So, again, for that price, it kind of made us nervous, but we will hold him accountable to do the work he's expected of.
60+ thousand difference.
Yeah.
A lot of difference.
Contractors are getting hungry.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you. Order 23-127B, order of the City of Richmond adopting a new job description for the Public Works Department. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas the City of Richmond has adopted job descriptions for the city employees, and whereas after review, it has been determined that this position needs a new job description adopted for better city services. Now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that the following job description and pay grade for the City of Richmond is hereby adopted. Public Works Department, Foreman, pay grade 5. The attached job description shall be made a part of the city's job descriptions and incorporated into their departmental structure. This order shall be in full force and effect upon reading and adoption by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Order 23-127B. May we have a motion, please, to bring to the floor for discussion and approval?
So moved.
Mr. Cole,
Second.
Commissioner Newby. Is there any discussion?
We've been talking about doing this for a long time, even when Stacy Curtis was here. Josh brought it back up as he's become the Public Works Director. You know, they'll break into anywhere from 5 to 6 crews during the day and be spread all over the city. And unfortunately, Josh doesn't have a little helicopter to jump from crew to crew. So we think having a foreman position will help them split the duties of managing those crews. I think it's a good idea.
And to commend him, to commend Josh for what I've seen as he has those crews all over. He tries his very best to be there where they are.
Absolutely, works right with them.
It works right with
And
him.
we're back on the West Main sidewalk project. We got pulled off because of storm damage and some stormwater projects, so we're back on that again. They get pulled a lot of different directions.
Any further discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you. Order 23-128, Order of the City of Richmond hiring an employee for the Public Works Department. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas the Public Works Department is in need of an additional full-time laborer since one employee recently transferred, and whereas the position was advertised and interviews conducted, and whereas the city manager has recommended the hire for this position, now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that the following individual is hired contingent upon their successful completion of the city's pre-employment requirements as laborer for the Public Works Department, effective August 21st, 2023, pay grade 1. Russell Barrett, he's an at-will employee and will serve a 1-year probationary period. This order shall be in full force and effect upon reading and adoption by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's Order 23-128. May we have a motion, please, bring the floor for discussion and approval.
So moved.
Commissioner Goble.
Second.
This time, Commissioner Brewer. Is there any further discussion? Is there any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. Order 23-129, an order of the City of Richmond awarding a bid for the Lake Reba softball lighting project. Mr. City Manager, please.
Whereas the city wishes to continue replace the lighting at the, let me start over. Whereas the city wishes to continue to replace the lighting at the softball complex located at 299 Lake Reba Drive, and whereas the bid specs were advertised on April 11th, 2023, and 3 bids were submitted with awarding Atkins and Stang by order 2375 on Field A and C, and whereas the city is now ready to complete Field B in fiscal year '24, now therefore be ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that the bid for the Lake Reba softball fields lighting project is awarded to Atkins and Stang Incorporated of Cincinnati, Ohio, softball Field B, $256,700. Project will be paid for by the Parks Department budget account number 4120-5430. The bid is attached to the order. This order shall be in full force and effect upon reading and adoption by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. That's Order 23-129. May we have a motion, please, bring to the floor for discussion and approval.
So moved.
Commissioner Cole,
Second.
Commissioner Newby. Is there any discussion? Anything you want to add, Mr. City Manager?
I would just say that we determined that the lighting systems on all 3 of the softball fields were unsafe with electric and poles and everything else. So getting this is a complete replacement of the lighting for this field.
Any further discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. Order 23-130, order of the City of Richmond appointing an Assistant Fire Chief. Madam Clerk, please.
Whereas due to a recent promotion, the city posted an Assistant Fire Chief position open internally to candidates, and interviews were conducted by a selection panel. And whereas the city manager would like to recommend the promotion of this qualified employee, and whereas the board has carefully considered that recommendation and is in accord with it. Now therefore be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners that Robbie Smith be appointed Assistant Fire Chief to the City of Richmond, effective payroll August 25th, 2023, pay grade 6. Work history for Mr. Smith: 2002, hired as firefighter; 2004, promoted firefighter 2; 2008, promoted to lieutenant; 2008, promoted to captain; 2021, promoted to battalion chief. He shall be on a probationary status for a period of 12 months after that effective date, and will be entitled to a position reversion should he be unable to successfully complete the promotional probation, and shall be entitled to receive all fringe benefits as afforded to city employees. The Board of Commissioners would like to thank Mr. Smith for his continued dedication to the city leadership since 2002. This order shall be in full force and effect upon reading and adoption by the Richmond City Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's Order 23-130. May we have a motion, please, to bring the floor for discussion and approval?
So moved.
Commissioner
Second.
Cole, Commissioner Goble. Does this have your approval, Commissioner Newby?
He marked all my checklist points. I got
didn't-
hired on from Bobby too, way back.
Hey, Robbie, you didn't tell him about working EMS, son. As we did.
Any further discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Yes, thank you. And thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Welcome aboard. Order 23-131, an order of the City of Richmond naming the new playground at Armory Park. Mr. Attorney, please.
Whereas the City of Richmond is constructing a new Armory Park that will be ready for play in August 2023, and whereas the city wants to name the playground after a deserving individual, and whereas the Kiwanis Club of Richmond has applied for the naming of the children's playground, and the Richmond Parks Board has unanimously voted in favor of the recommendation, and now, therefore, be it ordered by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners, the newly constructed playground at the Armory Park shall be named Joni's Playground. Joan Klein was a devoted educator, dedicated volunteer to Kiwanis, and is extremely deserving of this honor. This order shall be in full force and effect upon reading and passage by the City of Richmond Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. That's Order 23-131. A motion, please, to bring to the floor for discussion and approval.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cole, Commissioner Newby. Is there any discussion?
I just would add, I think that's a really, really good thing. I had the privilege to work with her a little bit and with Lisa, and I just am proud that we're doing so. And I thank Lisa for helping coordinate and just, it's a good thing that we're doing.
We probably won't have signage ready when we do the ribbon cutting for the new Armory Park, but we can plan another ceremony for that separately.
She played bingo with my mama.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Goble,
Yes.
Commissioner Newby,
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Mayor Blythe.
Certainly proudly, yes. Let me do this to deviate just a quick moment from the agenda. My friend, Dr. Glenn Klein, who is Joni's husband, is here with us tonight. Glenn, do you want to have any remarks? You're welcome to if you so desire. Just glad that you're here.
This is my son Keith, came over from Lexington. Be here. My other sons are in New Hampshire and Georgia, all of whom have graduated from Eastern and grew up attending schools here. On behalf of the family and friends, we appreciate what you're doing to recognize Joni. You probably got a lot of material from Lisa, letters of endorsement from a wide variety of people. And after reading those, you might wonder, did she have any deficiencies? And after living with her for 63 years,
Careful.
I can assure you she had deficiencies. And the biggest one was she did not include the word no in her vocabulary. If you ask her to do anything involved with children, she'll say yes. So, thank you again.
Thank you, Glenn. Certainly Lisa is doubly proud tonight, although she is our city clerk and serves in this capacity tonight. She's also the president of our local chapter of Kiwanis, which Joan gave such untiring effort and love to. So we appreciate, certainly I know Lisa does. All right, is there anyone here tonight for public comments? Yes, sir. Come, please. Give your name for the clerk for the record.
Name is Dan Drawson, and we live on Goggins Lane. My question or clarification I would like is the entrance to the park. Is that going to, on Goggins, from Goggins? Will it come out at Old Farm Road, or will it come out at another position?
There'll actually be two entrances off of Goggins. There'll be one right across from Old Town Farm Road, and then there'll be one on down Goggins, just across from the farm. What's the name of that farm that just sold? Park Farm. The Park Farm, just across from there. So there'll be two secondary entrances there, and then there'll also be the main entrance will be off Tate's Creek, excuse me, with turning lanes.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? Public comment? We have a departmental report then. One scheduled from Battle of Richmond. Philip Seifert.
You got a bunch of bats back there.
If you looked at him, I was getting ready to say, Commissioner Newby, I was getting ready to say, if you look at that table, you want to call him Batman.
Well,
That's
me
in
back-
October, that's coming.
it takes me back to my college days, and I wouldn't play in baseball.
We don't need to talk about that. No, not big companies. We have a little bit of history being made tonight. This is one of the few times that the commission did not save the best for last. Come on, come on, come on. And I also need to make an apology to the commission and those that are here. I was not going to be giving this little talk this evening, but the person I tried to get to do it, birthday is tomorrow, said he couldn't come. So Sam Elliott was already, so you got David Crosby instead. And if you don't know who David Crosby is, look it up. So.
That's a close one.
It's close, isn't it? Yeah. Scary. The hottest event in the state of Kentucky is going to be happening at the end of August with the annual Battle of Richmond reenactment on Saturday and Sunday, August 26th and 27th, out at Richmond Battlefield Park. The gates are going to open at 10 a.m. The battles are at 2 p.m. each day. And there will be a vintage baseball game again this year, and that's why this is here. This is known as the Richmond Ripper. And it's a vintage era bat. Got some others back there over there. Now, I've got 5 of them, O'Donnell. I know all. And it's just a different way of looking at things. But you're not going to have to go out there and just watch it. They do commentary. The game is very, very different today than it was then. And we'll have the Cincinnati Red Stockings versus the Georgetown Gentlemen at 10:30. It may become the Christmas game in years to come because one team is red and one team is green. So if you like Georgetown, wear red. If you like the Stockings, wear green. So had something come up here back a couple weeks ago, and it's a little bit more serious. Want to invite everyone to a special, not a real highbrow ceremony, but we've had a new Battle of Richmond print that has been done, a watercolor painting by Tim Pack. Many of you all know Tim, and we're going to be having the unveiling of it on Wednesday, August the 30th at the Mount Zion Church at 7 p.m., and that is the actual 161st anniversary of the battle. And you can come out there and kind of imagine maybe what was going on at the time. They didn't have EMS yet. They're working on it. So. But if you have any questions or anything, come out there and see us. We got a lot of things planned, and thank you for having us. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. If not, I will go over here and try to get my bats back from O'Donnell over there. So,
let me just say this. Over these past several years that you've been there, you have amassed a tremendous amount of information that is really valuable for anyone if you go by and just take a look. Thank you for that passion.
I appreciate the
bringing
confidence.
that
Sometimes
passion.
when you work closely with something, you can't always see the progress, and that's true
Yeah.
about anything. We don't want to take anything away from any other site. but it's time for Richmond to have its just due. And a lot of people think it's all out there. No, it happened right out here on this main street.
Yes.
Right out in front of us. So, and I did have my composition book. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. A wee bit of history. His father,
Yeah.
his father was my dean of men at EKU, and he was also, what was it called? The superintendent of Boys State. It met here with Model and EKU back in those days, and I was fortunate enough to be an attendee at Boys State. His father was our dean of men. That's right.
There's a famous photograph of Bill Clinton shaking President Kennedy's hand. Bill Clinton's a junior in high school. Well, he's standing here, and President Kennedy's standing here. You'll see somebody half of somebody's face. That's my father.
Yeah.
I've seen that photo. I didn't pick up on the half face, but I've seen that photo. Yeah.
But all right,
But thank you so much, Bill, for continuing manifest that passion. Any other departments, Mr. City Manager?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. City Manager, your report.
I've got several items. The brick project on Main Street, where we replaced and repaired all the bricks, has been completed. So if you get a chance, take a look at it. They did a really good job, knocked it out in about 3.5 weeks, I think. The downtown street light project, we did get a delay in shipping on those lights for 2 weeks. So hopefully they'll be shipped sometime next week. And once they're in, we'll get them staged and start that project. Definitely want them up before the fall festivals and parades and all that good stuff. Commissioner Cole, traffic light at Duckhorn and Great House. The advertisement went out Saturday. Bids are due on the 25th. Once we receive the bids, we'll see how much they are. We have $250,000 appropriated, and the state's matching $150,000. So we'll see where it's at and hopefully get it started. It'll get done this time. I feel confident. This is the third time I've crawled out on this limb, so I think it'll get done.
It's happening, it's happening.
The last thing I have is from our tourism director, Lori. The state economic impact tourism numbers are out today. Madison County had number 10 on the list in the state for tourism spending. Over $213 million were spent in Madison County by tourists. And I'd like to say I'm not taking a jab, but I kind of am. All I hear is about Somerset, Pulaski County, how they're killing it, knocking it out of the park. They have Lake Cumberland, for Pete's sake. They only had $144 million in tourism spending. So Madison County and Richmond and Berea, we're doing something right, attracting tourists.
And it will get even better.
That's right.
It will get even better.
That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Brewer?
Just one thing, Amy, tomorrow's move-in day, isn't it? They're coming.
Ready or not.
And traffic will be, not an issue.
Sure.
I'd love to say that, but it's gonna be an issue.
Well, it'll be fun. I live on Lancaster, so I know.
And we have the welcome walk on Thursday. So
Right.
anyone who can be there to welcome almost 3,000 freshmen. We're really excited about that. So
It's
we'd
gonna be
love
fun.
for you to join us.
It's exciting, I agree.
Thank you.
Time for football next, right?
And football's coming right after that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say, we got the Squire Boone stone moved. If you drive by at night, the lighting's actually pretty good. I don't know who put that in there, but was that Tim?
Tim organized it, I guarantee
Yeah.
it.
That's a good job. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. And Amy, all I wanted was a lanyard, and I went into Walmart, Myers, anybody that had anything that looked like a lanyard.
Can you get him an EKU lanyard?
What did the little girl say in that movie, Poltergeist? She said, "Mommy, they're here." Stop it, Brewer, stop it. Commissioner Newby? All righty. Commissioner.
You can't follow that.
What are you gonna say to that?
Can you do it again?
Mommy, they're here. Commissioner Goble, pray for me, Mindy. Pray.
Exactly. I was just going to say, speaking of students, it's so helpful if everybody has a positive attitude when people are saying things about traffic. Without EKU, I'm telling you, we kind of have to, look at things a lot differently around here. And they provide so many great jobs for our community, and the students get involved. They get jobs on, at all of our restaurants. And so I just think that if you can, be grateful, even though it's a little, annoying at times. It's okay.
Amy, let me ask, the last time when the president was here several weeks ago, he mentioned that he would like for the city to sort of get ready just in case there was a need with respect to housing. What does that look like now, can you say?
I think we're great. People will put on waiting lists. I think we're gonna be able to accommodate everybody on campus, which is great. So we really appreciate the community support, but, and Keene Hall will be in, renovation this next year. That's gonna provide a lot, of beds for next year. So we're in constant renovation, phase for housing, but we're in good shape for this.
Good, that's good to hear.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed, thank you. Commissioner Cole?
I guess I'll just say go Colonels. I'm excited to get the students back.
All right. I mention these sometimes, and they are a little sad, but when I alluded a moment ago to Preston Worley, a young fellow that he knew quite well from the days at the University of Kentucky, but many of us know Mitch Brown, who worked for the city of Richmond, in fact, police department, and so on, retired state trooper, pastor, and so on. But his son, Jonah, that many of you may have known, Jonah passed away a few days ago. He succumbed to the illness he's had for quite some time, which was coupled with something else that came along. So that service will be at noon this Saturday, and it'll be held here at First Christian. There'll be a visitation in Lexington on Friday evening. The service again will be on Saturday at noon here at First Christian in Richmond. Certainly our hearts and prayers of the city go to that family. And Jonah was just outstanding young man. I don't know what else you'd say, but outstanding. He'd been ill for quite some time. All right, now let's see if there's no further business. We need a motion, please, to go into executive session to consider the matters according to KRS 61.810 sub C, litigation and personnel, KRS 61.810 subsection F. May we have that motion, please?
So moved.
Commissioner Cole,
Second.
Commissioner Goble. Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you.
Glad.
I know, your shoes. I know.
I know. No, they're good.
There being no decisions made, no action taken, may we have a motion, please, that we'll return from executive session to regular session.
Second.
Commissioner Cole, Commissioner Newby. Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole? Commissioner Goble?
Yes.
Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you. And thank you all again. Good meeting, good meeting. May we have a motion, please, if all hearts and minds are clear?
Second.
Cole, Newby,
Motion and second. That's Cole and Newby.
got it.
All
Commissioner
righty.
Cole? Commissioner Goble? Commissioner Newby?
Yes.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes.
Mayor Blythe?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Feeling better? Good. Oh.